There are so many apps that you can incorporate into Microsoft Teams. So many that it's actually really hard to explain all of them, and of course the list is forever growing. But there's a couple of sort of like your standards that we need to know about. One of them was Microsoft OneNote, which we covered in an earlier video. Microsoft OneNote automatically appears when you click the Notes tab at the top of a channel. When you click the Notes tab, Microsoft OneNote automatically creates a new notebook for that channel, and it's really like a scrapbook where you can gather information from all sorts of locations and put it into your notebook, and everybody can collaborate on it. If you want to know more about what Microsoft OneNote, go to my channel, Software Solutions, full stop, and find the playlists on Microsoft OneNote. There's OneNote for Windows, and that's this look here, or there's the desktop version of Microsoft OneNote. But Microsoft OneNote is extremely powerful application, so get to know that. Another application that we looked at was polls. When you do a post or a chat or even a meeting, you can add an app which is a poll. And again, if I can't see it here, I can search, and there's polls there. Polls is great when you've just got one question and a series of options, and you want people to submit a vote, and so they would choose one of those options. So go back to the earlier video in Microsoft Teams that covers polls. Now, another application that I think is absolutely brilliant is if you've got more than one question, it's Microsoft Forms. Now, I haven't covered this in any of the previous videos. I'm going to add a survey form as a tab to this channel. Now, I can see forms here, and if it wasn't there, I would search for forms. It immediately wants me to give this form a name, so I'm going to call it my project survey application, and save. Now this invokes and starts up Microsoft Forms, and depending on the name that you gave the form will depend on how many recommended questions it will give you. What I could do is I could add all of these to my survey form, or I could just click on certain ones and add them to my survey form. I'm going to add all of them just to save time. So immediately this application form asks you for your full name, your email, your phone number, your address, and which types of insurance you're interested in. Well, this isn't about insurance, so I'm going to click on this, and this button here allows me to delete a question. So I'll delete that question. Again, this one's about insurance. It's not about insurance, so I'll delete that as well. Phone number, email, age. Perhaps I don't want this to appear this way. I'm going to click on age, and I'm actually going to delete it. So now I want to insert a question in between here on number 6, because I want it to appear after number 6. And I'm going to add a choice question. And the choice question is going to ask them this question: what age bracket do you fall into? The first choice will be, and here's some choices here, 18 to 24, 25 to 34, 35 to 44, and 45 to 54. But what about above 54? So I'm going to add an option and say 55 plus, and then I'll even add another option because they may not want to say that they fall into any of these brackets. So you can create your own question. It's a choice question. They really can't choose multiple answers, but if I wanted them to, I'd switch from being option buttons to actual tick boxes, and so that allows them to do multiple answers, and then this allows them not to. This allows you to delete a particular option. This allows you to say that this question is required. They must fill it in or not. This allows you to add a subtitle or change it to a drop-down box, so they choose which option they want. Or, and we could add a subtitle to give more detailed explanation. Or I could shuffle the options because maybe they do the survey more than once and I want it to mix up each time. Or I could even add branching, and that is if they answer question 7, then they don't need to answer questions 8, 9 and 10, and they can jump straight to question 11. So that's what add branching means. you can go straight to a different question, for example. But I want to go back and I actually want to turn off the subtitle, turn off the drop down and not do branching. So that's my new question added. I can close the fact that it says you want to add some more, like I could add what's your height, what's your weight, what's your date of birth, what's your email, I could add all of them and then just that'll get those added as well. So it's an easy enough process to create a form. You can even drag phone number and put it above email and they renumber, or put phone number back under email and they renumber. So delete questions, rearrange questions, add questions we've looked at. Now, as you're working, it saves it automatically. You've also got responses. So when you go to responses, it'll tell you how many responses you've had and what the average time they took to complete. And you can even open it in Excel and then do analysis of the responses. But I'll go back to the questions. And as far as collecting the responses, that's this button here. When we collect responses, we can say anyone can respond, or we can say only people in Software Solutions can respond. And if people in Software Solutions respond, a sign-in is required in order to record their name, and we may limit them to one response per person. Now, how we share this form, you can do in 4 different ways. You can share a link, and you can even shorten that link and take a copy of that link. Or you could actually invite a particular person, group, chat, or channel to work with this form. Or you could create a QR code that they could scan and fill in the form. Or you could even create code that you could embed into a website. So there's all sorts of ways that you can share the survey form. But I'm just going to go with copy link. I'll close that. So we've got questions, responses. Preview just lets you preview the form, and this is what they'll see if they're looking at it on a computer or looking at it on a mobile device. And then I can go back. You have the option to change the style from this sort of wavy teal look to maybe a blue look, like that. And even a color can be chosen. So you've got different styles you can choose. Having chose a style, I could go into this option here. Let me just close the style. And in here, I can collaborate and make others work on this form with me. I could duplicate it because maybe I have to create another form that's a very similar type of form, and it'll save me a lot of groundwork. Print a form, go into the settings, all that sort of stuff. So that's my tab. But if I go back to my posts, I can see that it says that there's a project summary, a project survey application tab's now been added. I could go and in general, I could go and add a new post, make it actually an announcement, and say your feedback is needed. I could say, please complete the survey. If you could find time to do this by Friday, and here's the link that I copied, and I'll simply post that. And so your feedback is needed, and so they'll click this link and they'll simply fill in the feedback form. And then when I go to the feedback form, because I am a collaborator or a creator, I can actually go to responses and see how many people responded, etc. So if you need to do a survey form, consider Microsoft Forms. Another application that I think is absolutely wonderful is lists. If I go to the plus up here to add a channel tab, I can see lists, but if I couldn't, I'd search for it. Lists are great when you need to track. So I'll create a list, and there's a whole lot of templates. An issue tracker, employee onboarding, event itinerary, asset manager, recruitment tracker, travel requests, work progress tracker. All of these are fantastic. If I go for work progress tracker, here's an example where you can actually put items that you need to track, descriptions. You can say their progress, their priority, and their start date, and you can even add more. So I'll just go with the defaults here. Already exists, workplace progress tracker, create. Just so it's got a different name. Now all you do is hit new and you just start adding items. And you can choose a progress for that item, a start date for that item, and so on and so on. Go to my channel, go to my playlist. There's a playlist dedicated to Microsoft lists. If that interests you, go to the playlist. It'll give you more detailed information about what you can do completely with lists. But it's definitely an application that I think is a real bonus for Microsoft Teams. Now, another application that we often want to work with is SharePoint. If you hit your tab, you're able to add a SharePoint website or a SharePoint document management or a SharePoint list. So that will allow your team to get quick and easy access to a particular document location or a particular list or a particular website that you work with as a team. So consider that as well. Another application, and there's look at my playlist for more information about SharePoint. And another application, look at my playlist, is Tasks, To Do and Planner. Definitely worth implementing that also into your Microsoft Teams. Have a look at the applications. There's some majorly interesting applications.